Wait. Take two.
All right, guys, welcome in. Apparently you weren't in the last time, but y'all don't need to know that. But we need to let you know that because resetting is a thing. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm Yalanda at DryerBuzz. Angela and I have survived another week, and we're here to allow you to ask us. Ask leading women. Let's try to remember what we said. And when I talked about 20 years, we're in 2020, y'all. 20 years ago, I went live from Atlanta, built an international audience. And every time I would say I'm live from Atlanta, people would ask me questions about Atlanta. That led into an amazing career of 20 years. It became known as blogging. And so with that, we are live. Hallelujah. Yep. All right. So with that amazing career to be here now, 2020, I was brought on Angela because Angela and I are looking back 20 years. You guys are probably trying to figure out where you need to go as far as into the future. And we're like, hold up. You know, so Angela I call her a scientist because you guys already know I love data and I love talking dollars. But there's a pathology. There's a path. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're in a phase where we're with real-time information. Mm-hmm. Used to be everything you got a 2-year study or a 5-year study. And really, to go back and look and see where we've been for 20 years, people are still trying to analyze this. They're still trying to figure out. And there was a great resistance. Yes. Which is why our topic today is resistance. Resistance is sabotage. And we're going to tell you what that means because there's a 2019 version, but then there's a 2020 version. We want you to understand the 2020 version. So while I jump on all these platforms, because we just went live on a couple of them, and get some watch party started. I want you to get some likes, some shares, and all that going on as well. I'm going to let Angela Stalcup hashtag Ask Angela PSAS tell you a little bit why we now call her a scientist.
Yeah, well, this is that. Yes, and Yalanda has given me that. Although I have a degree in social science, so I am a scientist. But we live in a time where, as Yolanda's talking about, that we're in constant change and movement, and so we really do have to be scientists. We have to be scientists of our own lives. We have to be scientists of culture, and using the scientific method, which is you observe, right, and you come up with a hypothesis, and then you test your hypothesis, and you act accordingly. And so many of us are being put into situations that circumstances have never happened before, right? And I love the Hidden Figures analogy of where you're trying to get to the moon, and you have your Katherine Johnson character who's climbed up on the chalkboard and she's calculating, and because trying to do something that's never been done. So really, we do have to approach it like science.
We do,
and that means that you go in and you start things not knowing the outcome. You start a thing, you may not know how it's going to finish, and sometimes your hypothesis is incorrect. But determining that the hypothesis is incorrect is as important as having a correct hypothesis.
And you know what? So many people predicted this time. There were so many predictions. How are we doing, would you say?
Of what?
I would say the resistance was great. Even though we know we needed to embrace let's start with embracing technology.
Yes.
Let's start there because our topic today, and we're known as Leading Women Weekly, and you can use the hashtag Ask Leading Women. When we talk about the sciences and going back and being in a traditional sense and not knowing what's to come, we live in a time where I don't know if not knowing really truly exists the way it used to, right? Because there's so many people that have done a thing that we just don't have the story of. Like if you talk about Hidden Figures, right? We've got people out there trying to amass degrees and break into to industries and knock on doors that they think are closed. But then, this movie, I just remember when the movie Hidden Figures came out and how many people were like, whoa, how did this ever happen? But of course, you and I are in Atlanta, and me being a black woman in Atlanta, you knew
right? You knew these stories,
right? You knew the story, but not only this. I mean, people used to be amazed, and I'd tell them one of my early mentors, very early, I'm talking when I was a child, was the godson of Mary McLeod Bethune. So you knew these, and even my doctor. And the godson of Mary McLeod Bethune was one of the first black doctors in Atlanta. and he was ready to retire. So you got to imagine he'd already had an illustrious career at the time he was trying to mentor all these other young. So anyway, I say all that to say, and also guys, we are in real time. If you're watching in real time, it is MLK Day tomorrow.
Right.
But MLK Day, MLK weekend has now been extended to a full-on week. Remember, we were talking last week wondering who were the big names that were going to get town. And I will tell you, it was Will Smith.
Yeah.
Will Smith and Jaden. Jaden was the recipient of one of the awards that they give out at the Salute to Greatness, which I actually slept through the gala, y'all. I have covered this gala for the past 7 years. One of the things I'm always amazed is walking into the ballroom, because each year they pick a color scheme. There's some things about this gala that are just so important to me. Each year they will pick a color scheme, and so you get to walk in and you get to see this amazing color scheme and how they get the ballrooms. If you ever go to a hotel ballroom and there's nothing going on, you're like, how do they transform all of this? So I woke up and I'm all down my timeline is everybody's live video, and I'm like,
wow.
Okay, wait, can I get ready? I'm like, just enjoy.
Yeah.
Just enjoy. They had Cameo perform.
I saw the Cameo. I saw that. And it was trending. It was trending on Twitter. I'm like, why?
Was it really?
It trended for just a
Angela,
heartbeat.
stop. Oh my God.
For a heartbeat. Because I saw it and then it was gone.
We talk all the time about FOMO.
Yeah.
I felt a sense of FOMO.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out. And I'm like, girl, you have been, I was saying on the other one, I've covered this thing for 7 years. It literally was one of the iconic things that I got a chance to do as a blogger. But one of the reasons I covered it then, because I could always get an exclusive, because it wasn't like bloggers everywhere.
Right.
Right? It was like, I was like the only one in the room along with traditional media.
Right.
So I would always, and then plus knowing the PR people, I would always get these amazing exclusives, and I was like, oh, I want to just get dressed and go. Yeah. But the videos were absolutely awesome. Yeah. Isabella, who is actually from South Africa, got her. I love when people get like the money shot or the quote.
Yeah.
She was following Will Smith. He was walking out, and I think that might have been his mom. So she got him to give her a South African quote. He apparently has purchased a home in Durban. See the story? See that story coming out of me? This is why you got to go live, people. This is why you got to tell your story. So her video hopefully is trending because she did get a quote. And can you imagine people watching all over the world and hearing just a simple shout out? Just a simple shout out. But it's an amazing piece of video that you'll always have. That's what it is.
And is it on your timeline? Have you shared that?
And this is the thing, what I was looking at my Facebook memories, and I'm like, man, I am such a sharer. Because, of course, you get reminded of these things. So, definitely, that's one of the, because I know that she does an amazing job journalistically and blogging. We all know that bloggers get a little bit better access than journalists these days. But I definitely hit that share button.
So they can find it on your timeline.
They can find it on the DryerBuzz page. It's absolutely awesome. And then, of course, Jane, of course, probably the humanitarian award with the water, because I saw the water there. And then, of course, all the old faces. And what I love about the galas this year, they really reached a level of bringing in the millennials this year, too. So.
Well, and that's good.
They stopped resisting.
and we need to do that, right? And, a lot of these, especially when we're looking at social movements, we do have a generational divide.
Right. We should make sure we have some millennials.
Visit
Leading Women Weekend. Angela and I have put it on the calendar for March the 13th through the 15th. Okay,
it's going to be a lucky Friday, the 13th.
Yes.
For leading women.
We're going to resist that.
We're going to resist that narrative.
Wow.
Yeah.
And why? Let's go back, and I'm pretty sure we are excited to be together, so we're bouncing around.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead. We talked about resistance and sabotage, and talk about what resistance was for 2019 and why we want to change it up for 2020.
Right. So this idea of the resistance to Donald Trump, we're talking about the use of this term resistance, is the resistance that you see in time. This is the term that was used during World War II. All right. The underground was the resistance against Nazism. Excuse me. So we've had a lot of talk about resistance as in activism, and that's fine, right? That's activism is really the term.
Right, because I think what was the hashtag? She resisted.
She resisted. Right, and she persisted. Right.
Persisted.
So and then she persisted, and so Persistence is a great term, and persisted. And resistance, yes, is resisting whatever's being pushed upon you. So that's fine. But there's another, excuse me, there's another, I need a thing of water, guys.
I'm going to find the water. Go ahead, keep talking.
I'm going to have to clear my throat. Sorry, guys. I'm having resistance to talking about resistance. And that right there is my voice resisting speaking about this topic, right? Really, resistance is when you're holding back, right? Mm-hmm. To resist something, something's pushing against you, you're holding it back. You're holding back. But oftentimes, our resistance is to things that are positive and important. And so, in the theme of our topic for today about resistance is sabotage, we're particularly talking about resistance that leads to self-sabotage. Because honestly, we had this discussion off camera, the resistance to Donald Trump and white supremacy. Not that white supremacy hasn't always been around, but this sort of blatant display of white supremacy. We want to sabotage that. To sabotage is to directly work against a thing, right? We want to sabotage that, but really, and I'm good. My voice, my throat is cleared.
You sure?
I'm good.
I can pour a little bit of this one.
No, I'm good. Okay. My throat cleared. See, when I acknowledge the resistance, many times all you have to do is acknowledge the resistance, and the resistance goes away. And so, because we don't see it, we don't realize what we're pushing against. And was always a big Star Trek, Star Wars fan, and particularly in Star Trek, you always had shields, right? All the ships had shields, right? Mm-hmm. So but they were invisible, right? And so it's going to hit and bounce off. Well, it's a force field concept, right?
Right.
I'm going to hit against a force field. I don't see that I'm hitting it, right? So a lot of times, the way we're experiencing that sabotaging resistance is we're hitting something that we don't see.
Right.
Just seeing it can make it go away.
I like the hitting something that we don't see. And the question about the don't see part is, what have we built up? Because oftentimes we're resisting something that's pretty much not there. That's one of the reasons we don't see it, because it might be something that's just not there or doesn't have to be there. You don't have to play into it. When I kept thinking about resistance, I kept thinking about technology, because one of the things I did for 2020, I put my for hire sign out again, mm-hmm. and I started doing social media for a couple of businesses, and these are some businesses that might have over the years resisted this era. They might have just resisted the era. We know for a fact many of us resisted the technology era. Like I said, I pushed the live button 20 years ago.
Right.
20 years ago in my personal space, and brought people into my personal world, and literally 20 years of my life is out there. I was in the barbershop this week, and we were talking about, somebody asked me about the kids, and we were talking about how people are different now on Facebook, and I said, well, I'm still mad about some things on Facebook, because there were times where I was told not to put family stuff on Facebook, right. and we were all talking about heartbreak on Facebook. And one of my most heartbreaking moments that I literally bawled like a baby. I was so mad, and you know how you get mad, you start crying. My son, a long time ago, was on the computer and left his Facebook up. So when I went to go start working, and and close it out, I'm like, I see this little family. It's like photos, the groups, the mm-hmm. albums.
Right.
And he had a family album. And I wasn't in the family album.
Oh
no. And only
oh no.
Yeah, I went flying upstairs, and on my way my daughter stopped me, because she realized, like, something's not right. What's wrong with you?
Right.
And I'm like, never ask a person
what's wrong with it.
When she asked me what's wrong, and I went to try to explain her, because my intent was to simply ask, why I'm not in the family group.
Right.
And at the time, I'm going upstairs, and then they hear me emotionally trying to talk to her. My son comes downstairs, and I say, he did it. I'm not in the family group. And so he and her, she was like, what you do to mommy? What you do to mommy?
Right.
So now they're having a discussion. And so he was like, so he goes on to explain, well, you know, those are just some candid shots of us, and mommy's photos are too professional. And then my daughter goes, well, you could just Google mommy. And I'm sitting there, I'm just bawling. I'm like, I'm right here. Why are you?
Right.
Why have we not taken photos? Why would you Google me?
Google you, yeah.
And I'm like, of course we fixed that. But we were just talking about that. And I just remember also, and I'm going to
get that water.
Yeah. Thing. So also, we resisted that when I was thinking about resisting. There's one part in that where we talk about the music industry, resisted technology. Think about that. You know, when they first came out, instead of making it Napster.
Yeah.
And a lot. And think about all the innovation that has gone on in not resistant. Angela is blowing nose blind.
Blowing nose. Sorry, guys.
But think about that. Because when we had Napster, think about like we have everybody watched Netflix.
Right.
Tyler Perry movie. Tyler Perry's resisting the writer's room.
Right.
That's a conversation. But if you think about, had the music industry, they lost 20 years worth of revenue.
Well,
over that.
And consider. I was thinking about this. My sister follows an up and coming artist.
Okay.
And
I thought you were going to talk about the writers group.
No, and that's a whole nother thing. But and but you know, and it was a little band, and they've been on tour, and they kind of hit big in this sort of the indie scene. And it's interesting because they encourage people to film them from the audience. So they're playing little clubs, right? So they started playing little clubs, and they were getting bigger venues. And they encourage people to tag them on Instagram.
Right. And
if you tag them in an Instagram story, they'll show your story, right? So they put their Instagram story in their Instagram story. And so basically, you could follow.
And that's such
they did 120 shows.
Wow.
With only 10 days off. So they did, like about 4 months of shows. And every day she could go on and watch little clips. And sometimes it was whole
I know. I'm
songs.
like that when you click on somebody's story and you see the long dashes or the tiny.
Yeah, the tiny dashes.
You're like, whoa.
There would be whole songs on YouTube, and they didn't say take it down. They didn't do whatever.
Right.
And basically, that social media, people sharing. She found out because a friend of hers had found out, and actually had been watching videos of performances, and went all the way to Nashville to see this performance. Mm-hmm. And I was like, they understand, and they're millennials.
Well, I'll tell you.
They understand that this is not their enemy. That any video that somebody's shooting from the audience is not going to stop somebody.
Well, because the reports show that if a person sees it, they will more than likely want to be in the audience.
Exactly.
More so now that's a big change in behavior from the old bootleg days, where you were recording like the whole concert, and then people didn't go to the show.
Right.
But because of the influence, it's not that they particularly want to go and see that. I think what you talked about is you are honored from filming them, hosting them. They then honor you. Yeah. That then gets you some influence. So therefore, like people, not everybody liked the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
Right.
But because it was such an honor, you got honor, you got influence from it. Everybody wanted to taste it, post it, buy it, and so forth. That's the difference. And we also see that with theater. I mean, how many times did you go to a play? And y'all know me, that's where I spent the majority of my Sundays for the past 20 years. It's Sunday matinee, but now I'm live with Angela.
Now you're doing your own Sunday matinee.
Now I'm not doing my own Sunday matinee. But I just hated going in, and they would say, turn off your phones and put your phones away. But I mean, it's theater. What's about to happen on this stage will never, ever happen again. Even if there's 2 shows a day and it's all week, this particular performance will never happen. And there could be something so awesomely brilliant in it. But they would say, no photos, no this, that, and the other. Now they just say, make sure there's no flash. Because they know that if you share a piece of this, somebody's going to come and buy it.
And that's it. It makes people want to see it, right? Yes. Because people like to know what the preview. They want to know what they're getting into. Right.
They want the cloud.
Absolutely.
It's all about cloud.
And so I thought these are trends, like you said, that the music industry really resisted.
Music resisted it. Radio resisted it. Newspapers resisted technology and lost their industry, and now they're coming back. The only people who did not resist technology was television.
Yep.
they bought into it very early on, made television the two-way conversation. I was so proud to see that, simply because I was guiding a lot of that, because I had gone to these networks 20 years ago. Many of them called me crazy, like there's no way. And not only me, like I tell people to go look up Josh Harris, who's literally behind the hashtag, not even the hashtag, but the movement, We Live in Public. I just made it a hashtag.
Right.
Because I loved it. But he is the one that sold everybody on the idea of YouTube, not necessarily YouTube, but went to networks to say, listen, there's a world of screens that are coming.
Yep.
And they literally called him crazy, and he took all his money, he went and bought an Apple phone.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows where he is to this day, but they still believe that he's behind a lot of the technology that we have.
Interesting, and part of what's happening now, you're talking about in these last 20 years, is this technology is changing very quickly. And so, so things are moving, and so you have Snapchat, and then and that's the thing, and then it's TikTok now, and there was Vine, and Vine is gone. So you have to be careful that you don't get
TikTok.
No, I don't TikTok.
You watch TikTok?
I have seen TikToks.
Did you see TikTok on TikTok though, or on another platform?
No, I am not on TikTok.
And we are two old women sitting here talking about TikTok.
Look.
But I mean, no. But where do you see TikTok?
Well, on Twitter.
Okay, because of the watermark,
but I know it's TikTok, right?
TikTok,
I've seen TikTok on Twitter. I've seen TikTok on Facebook. I've seen TikTok in the news, right, where people are talking about things that are happening with TikTok. I'm interested in the industry, so I follow the industry news. So I have also followed of how TikTok is curating their content, and that to battle bullying, they're actually censoring content. And so this, you don't want people to be bullied. So they actually have people they have human beings who look at every bit of the content for 15 seconds. And if they feel like it's content that might be subject to bullying, which means a person with a disability, a person of color, a person who is fat, a person who looks funny, right? They don't push it out. Yes, really. TikTok will not push it out to the same degree. Which is like, for real? For real. So you're going to say, we don't want these people to be bullied, so to fight bullying, we're just not going to let their voices be heard. So TikTok got a problem, and they're where I don't know where they are and working this out.
How long are the videos?
The videos are very short. Are they 15 seconds?
It's funny because I remember.
How long was Vine?
Vine was 6 seconds.
It's more than.
But Vine took off because there was 12-second TV was probably one of the first.
Right.
In the mobile, because when we talk about the last 20 years, we talk about since 2000. Where are we now? We're 20. So okay, let's just say in the last 10 years. Everything has been mobile. 10 years prior to that, 2000, 2010, it was all still desktop.
Right.
So when Twitter came and it became mobile, there was something called 12-second TV that didn't do as well.
Right.
People were like, "What am I going to let people see me?" We're talking about a whole era of people who had not yet been on screen. Whereas the 10 years, those of us that had, we were like, how do we slow? We're live all day. What do you mean 12 seconds? Well, but then you have people like, oh, what do I do for 12 seconds?
What do I do for 12 seconds?
That's why 6 seconds took off. Yeah. And then that made Vine.
Interesting. And so, again, this idea of saying, and looking and seeing, well, again, this is the experiment, right? And you say, I have a hypothesis that a 6-second video platform would fail. And I mean, Vine did fail, but not because of 6 seconds, right? That was business.
Wasn't it acquired?
Yes, it was acquired.
And they shut it down.
Got rid of it. I believe it was Twitter, and I think it was because they didn't want it to compete with Periscope. Now, somebody really, if I may be wrong on that.
Because at the same time, Instagram was just photos, and it added 15 seconds.
Yes. But
up to 1 minute.
But the hypothesis by the people who seem to be in the know would be, these little videos. So let's take TikTok now. These short little videos are not going to have any market play. And then you look, and tons of people are using them, and particularly young people.
Right.
And so we've had this tendency in the past to look down on things that young people liked. Particularly things
generations.
Generations. And particularly things that little girls like. And we would say, things that little girls like are silly. But look at what the girls are doing. the girls drove and drive the purchase of music. This was something that, again, a trend that still I do believe that the music industry has not accepted the degree to which little girls fan out on music and will buy records. They will buy
because
content.
women who control the purse strings,
Mm-hmm.
who control most of the decisions made in the household, and still we have technology not giving into the fact that women drive it on a consumer level.
Yep.
Now, can we go and see as many TikToks by women?
And I don't know. I've not looked into that again because somebody's
when you
filtering
think about the viral star, it's mostly men.
Yeah, and this is again, boy, that's a whole
because again
topic.
we have women not wanting to get on camera.
Well, that's a big thing. That's a big thing.
That's why we say resistance is sabotage.
And so
let's explain that.
Yes, and so to say that when you are sabotaging yourself, so we're talking about particularly self-sabotage.
We had a whole conversation about self-sabotage.
And you know that you are, or you're going to sabotage what you're doing, what you're working on. So I'm going to put that in the category of self-sabotage.
Even subliminally.
Right. Yes. And usually it is subliminal. You don't realize you're doing it, right? But it's this idea that you're either getting good advice or you're seeing a trend, right? You are afraid, right? You're ashamed. There's something that is holding you back from doing a thing or is keeping you from changing, from doing the pivot, which I like to talk about pivots, is keeping you from making a change. And so you are resisting information that is coming to you. And
what about getting advice over and over? Because and I'm gonna say something that when I finally published my books, there 10 years prior, I had this person saying to me, "You know how to do this. You should write this and you should write that." Oftentimes we hear, and I had to learn that just because I heard a thing doesn't mean it's lost on me, or just because you say a thing or you give a person a piece of advice doesn't mean that they're going to embrace it like right away.
No, absolutely.
But I feel like I did in some ways sabotage. Oh, I watched a YouTube video. I went out to, and I just searched, resistance is sabotage. And there was a video that came up, and it's a whole conversation, and unfortunately I played it at bedtime, so I fell asleep to it. But it's a whole conversation between, what it described, the resistance is sabotage is the life you're living and versus the life you're destined to live.
Yeah.
And the decisions you're making in between, because we all want to be something else. We all want to get to a certain place. In you not getting, you're not there because you're sabotaging it, because you are resisting one thing.
Right.
And they said it was part of when people say the overnight success.
Yeah.
The difference between in that 10 years of overnight success is literally everything that you resisted along the way.
Absolutely. And to say that there's some action, this is why I would say, we talked about activism. There's some action that you need to take that you're not taking, or there's some action you need to quit taking, right? Because you can, and many times these things are habits. It's just a habit that you've gotten into.
Ooh, the habits and behaviors. We had a number of episodes on
Yes. And it's that you've just gotten into a habit of doing a thing a certain way. And so you say, well, this is how I've always done it. Also, this thought, well, this is how I've always done it, and it has worked, right?
Right.
But is it working, right? You're like, this worked.
No.
So sometimes especially if you've been in a business or just the way you've been living your life, you're like, well, this is how I've always done it. It's been working. Well, is it working now?
Well, let me ask you this,
Sometimes we're
and I'm
resistant
going to
to
ask
noticing
everybody
that.
else this as well. If you had to kind of quantify or just literally write down, like to parallel, one of the things I do with my How to Get Out of Bed podcast, we always do a list. On this side of the list, write this, write that. If you had to write on this side of the list what your life is now,
Yeah.
and the life you want to live, would it be total contrast to where you are? Do you think even
Right.
like the first items,
Right.
would they be a definite total contrast to what you live? What you live?
Oh, I certainly feel like I'm out of alignment with where I want to be
Okay.
because of choices I've made around caregiving. Now, there's a part of it you can say, well, I've chosen to do this to do this active caregiving for my family members, and so I must want that life, right? So this is the other side, is that we can have desires and wants that are in opposition to one another.
But where's the resistance?
And
what would you say? Because again, the life you're living,
right,
the life you want to live,
right,
and that line, whether it's straight or zigzag, or you could, is resistance. If that line is resistance,
right,
but yet you've made the choices,
yep.
Where's the resistance?
Well, sometimes, and I will say, sometimes there are external circumstances that you have to navigate and deal with. This is back to being the scientist, to figure out, how do I get from here to there? And some of it may be resistance in accepting that you can't have two things that are in opposition to one another. And that's okay too. And so I think that to say that sometimes there's a time for a thing, and understanding the time.
Exactly.
And so when you talk about somebody encouraging you to write a book, and people,
right.
And like, I'm resistant to that. I've been resistant to that forever, but because I want it, right? But when it happens, there's times, and I want to throw this in. This is the idea. Oftentimes when we talk about resistance, we talk about procrastination, right? But sometimes that's your friend, right? There's a resistance because there's something intuitive that's telling you this isn't the time.
Isn't the time, right?
But I think that idea of, here's the life I have and here's the life I want. This life I want is a complete fantasy, right? You only are living the life you have.
Except when the time comes.
And so you will say, I think I want this, but you may get that and then not want it. And then it's going to keep moving. So your zigzagging line.
Right.
So what I'm saying, you say, okay, so I would like to have this, right? I'm going to call it the Peloton lifestyle, right? Because of my obsession with Peloton.
Right. And we have a date for the Peloton, right?
Look at a fancy Peloton commercial, right? And they're in this beautiful house with big windows, and either it's a cityscape or looking out at the mountains, and they're on their Peloton.
You can't have it because you resist pushing that button.
Right. But it's like, do I want to do the things that would give me that lifestyle? Apparently not, because I've not done it.
Right, because you just frown like, okay.
It's like,
so wait, stop. Let's analyze that.
Yeah.
You said, do I want to do the things that would give me that lifestyle?
Right.
And you frown.
Yeah, because I know that for me to have that lifestyle, I would have to basically say, this over here that I'm doing,
the life you have now,
which has things in it that are very important and valuable to me, I would have to stop doing. And so there is it's not going to, the degree to which I am hands-on in caregiving with my sister will not allow me to do the things that are necessary to have that. And so basically for me to do that, I'm going to have to be Sheryl Sandberg and lean in. And so it's like, I'm leaned out, right?
What does that mean, be Sheryl Sandberg?
So, her book Lean In is, as women, that we just need to do it like men, which is put your career first.
And that's the thing that we resist as women. Hashtag Ask Leading Women. We resist doing it like men. That's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon instead of a Monday morning or on the golf course, because we resist doing it like men.
And so, she's like, you hire
That's
out.
That's why men bought that bike.
Yeah, you hire out your help. You you pay people to help you, and you work those extra hours.
No,
and
that's not what men do.
That's what men have classically done, is that they have a wife who takes care of the family.
She's not hired out.
Well,
they just get married.
That's it. They get married, right? And so she says, make your husband do it, right? And so that was in Lean In. She's like, make your husband do it. Well, what if he's got his career too? I mean, look at Michelle and Barack. To me, that's classically their story of she's a career woman. But she still has all the child-rearing responsibilities. And he's pursuing a political career, and she's at home with the kids having dinner, and he comes in, and she's like, where you been? He's been to the gym. She said, well, I want to go to the gym. He's like, well, you should go to the gym. She said, well, what am I supposed to go to the gym?
Right.
Somebody's going to take care of these children.
And she didn't go to the gym, literally to the White House.
Exactly. And so they ended up in counseling over how to navigate that. So, here's a fantastic couple.
Wait, is Angela deflecting?
Well, no, I'm going to say, I think that it is, and maybe I am.
Is that, but
But I want to say I don't think that doing it like that is necessarily the right way.
Okay, so
I think
I'm
men
saying
are doing
that our only reference. Okay,
yeah.
Going back to doing it like men, because I think for women, I think that's our number one resistance.
Yeah.
But only because we make other decisions and priorities. And it's like, no, I want to prioritize this. I want to prioritize caregiving. I had to do the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, I don't want to go and cover this, that. And I think when I talked about I'm going to walk away from blogging, not only did I walk away from blogging, I walked away from career and job and all of that just to do this. Because, again, that whole do it like... And I think when we talk about leading women, I think everybody has that question... because when we see it getting done, when we see the examples, it usually is men. Even if it's this group of men that get to go over to the mansion every day and make their TikTok videos.
All right. And so, and to say that, there's certainly, it's fine if you decide that you want to prioritize.
Do y'all notice we both just leaned in?
Yeah, we're leaning in.
We're leaning in,
well,
okay.
It's fine if you want to prioritize your career and making money and being successful and everything else is secondary. That's fine.
Right.
And I just
and that's not sabotage.
No, that's not sabotage. Okay. And nor is it saying I'm going to prioritize, I'm going to take a step back from my career, I'm going to take a step back from my work in the world to take care of other things. Sometimes it's your own health you have to take care of.
You know what I say it's not, well, when you think about health, I mean, you on a Peloton would definitely address health issues. But what I loved is when I asked you where was the contrast in the life you live and the life, that it literally was something that gave you joy.
Yeah.
Total. Even though it's exercise, even though it's fitness,
but
it still was a joy thing.
The point is,
which is what you want a little bit more.
Right. So the point is, I can have Peloton in my current house. It's not a Peloton mansion.
In your current life.
Right. But he's like, we visualize these sorts of what this full lifestyle would be like.
Do we visualize it, or did they visualize it for us?
They visualize it for us, and I think that's
not what we visualize.
Right. And I think that's the difference, right? And you say, oh yeah, I want that. But if you see what you have to do to get that, right? So I go back to this, not saying there's anything wrong with you having that, but there is a single-minded focus that is typically required that may not be the thing you want to focus on.
Right.
And any more than it used to be, and we talked about this last time, it used to be shameful for a woman to leave her children at home, particularly a white woman, so we've talked about this, but particularly a white woman to leave her children at home and go work full-time. Then it got to be shameful if you don't take off time to take care of your kids, right? And now, now you're supposed to do the mommy track, right? And so we're constantly being fed messages, right, that has nothing to do with what we want. So getting back down to this sabotaging and resistance, the first step is you have to be crystal clear on what you want.
Resistance is sabotage.
And so if you don't know what you want, you won't recognize that you're sabotaging anyway, right? Because it's this idea of giving lip service to one thing when really you're wanting something else.
Right.
And Oprah, when Oprah was here 5 years ago, or now going on 6 years ago, she did a beautiful piece on intentions that I go back to every time. And you remember the story she told about she was intentioning that she wanted to say no, she didn't want to say yes to everything with the money. Right. And so Oprah's pitch was, we say we have an intention, but it's not our real intention, right? That if you see what your real intention is, it's what you're going to manifest. And so she's like, all right, so I'm saying my intention is I want to say, I can't give everybody money. She said, but she had a conflicting intention was I want people to like me and think I'm nice. And I don't want people to think that I'm stingy with my money, right? As a billionaire. And so her challenge was, the story where Stevie Wonder comes to her and ask her. So she's like, I'm going to do it. I don't care if people are mad at me. I don't care what people say about me. Oprah's got money and she won't hand it out. Right. And the next person who asks her for something is Stevie Wonder, and it is a cause that she's just like, it doesn't mean anything to her. She's like, I've got causes out the wazoo. She says, but I just can't say yes to this. But this means I'm going to have to say no to Stevie Wonder. And it's like, do I have the nerve? Can I say no to Stevie Wonder? She's like, and so she's like, I got to do it, right? And she's like, well, right now, this is not, I've got my causes that I'm interested in. I just don't have any bandwidth for this or whatever she said. And he was like, okay, talk to you later. And it was fine, right? And so she's thinking Stevie Wonder's going to hate me. He's going to spit on my grave, whatever. Stevie Wonder's like,
and he
fine.
Understood.
He went on to the next thing. So a lot of times we have these dual intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And so we say, well, I want this, but really we've got a different internal intention.
Right.
And we've got to decide which one or do we internalize.
Okay.
And so there can be resistance to either switching that. So like Oprah had that resistance to switching that.
Oh, yeah, that's big. That's big.
Right. Or resistance to saying, no, I think this is really what I want. And why am I not accepting this? And saying, yeah, this is what I want, and it's okay. I am living the life I want because this is really what I'm intending to do. So I think that this is all very, as I say, it's all very squidgy. It's all
right.
There's a lot of back and forth on it, and sometimes we don't know till we've done it, right?
And I think too, doing it at some level, like you said, we visualize it at this, and I think that's one of the reasons we resist it, because we visualize it too big, too much.
Yes.
And we need to, when we hear the opportunity,
right?
Because there's a part of the opportunity to do it at a different level, we're saying no to that because we don't understand that could be a stepping stone, starting place, or some place to build from.
Yeah.
We always think that we have to go right for that one thing.
And I'm reading a very interesting book about power and personal power. Mm-hmm. And the book is called Bow Down, and the writer's name is Lindsay Goldwert, and she's a money writer. Mm-hmm. But, we're a little R-rated talk here on a Sunday afternoon. She got interested in power and women in power. And so she researched professional dominatrixes.
Okay.
Or pro-doms.
And Angela dropped this in my inbox. Yeah. I was like, oh.
Yeah, goodness. She's like, oh, no. But it's so interesting because she said, when you look at, she said, I'm so tired of this concept of being empowered. She said, I want to feel power, right? And that you look at how that lifestyle works and that, what a professional dominatrix does.
That's interesting.
It's really not what we've seen in popular culture or whatever. So that it's based on some very clear principles that apply to everybody, which starts with clear communication, consent, respect, negotiation. And is it directly asking for what you want? So these things are part of that. And so that this is not about somebody controlling you. In fact, it's about a negotiation about power. And so how do we go every day in our lives where sometimes we're the boss and sometimes we're the employee, where sometimes we're in control and sometimes we're not, and use these concepts of saying, I deserve to consent, negotiation, respect, and that being very clear and direct in my communication is important. And I thought so much of what we come up against in Sabotage has to do with our power and feeling powerless. Because if we feel powerful, we are going to do what we need to do, and we're not going to worry about what anybody else is thinking.
And that comes from a sense of accomplishment. And I'll just, even from the hashtag side, whenever you go to type women, it's always about empowerment, and it never goes straight to the power. And in any group, and I was thinking about as you're talking, like in any group, have we ever just started from a point of that we have power?
That we have power.
Have we ever started from a point that we have power?
That we already have power, and it's about how do we express that power?
Right.
And how do we exercise that power? And how do we say, no, you're not going to take my power, or here's my power? She gave a fantastic example and said, how do you order a coffee, right? So you're at a restaurant with servers, right? And the server comes over and you're like, I think I would like to have maybe at the end of the meal you're going to have a coffee. Do you say, when you get a second, could you bring me a coffee, right? Or you say, could I please get a coffee? And now I want to say as Southerners we use some things around being super polite, right? And but do you just say, can I get a coffee please, right?
Oh my God, I got to tell the story though, because you hear women do that all day long, and they're always, I'm sorry, they apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry, could you give me a coffee?
This one right here, the owner of Eyelash Her Studios, okay? I went with her. She was trying to buy a new bed, okay? We walk in, and there's this method, and of course, my child, having been to everything, we walk in this store, Angela, and the guy salesman is on his way to us. And I see her transform. And he opens his mouth to speak. She says, "What's your name?" And he told him, she says, "I'm going to look around."
There you go.
And mind you, I'm already like balling up, right?
Mm-hmm.
She says, he comes over, to do the thing. Hi, what's your name? He tells him, Joe. Joe, I'm going to look around, and when I need you and I'm ready, I will call for you.
That right there is power.
Oh my God! I'm like, now mind you, I'm proud, but I'm like, what was that? Who taught you that? It's a method, Mom.
Yes.
Oh,
It is. That's the method.
Meanwhile, Joe is like, okay.
And there you go. And you think,
And he was back on
right.
to go do whatever he did.
Because in most interactions, the other person just needs to know what's the expectation of the interaction. And so when you're talking about somebody who's supposed to bring you a coffee when you want it, they just need to know what you want. They just need to know what you want.
And a lot of times they resist
Right.
you because they like, God, I just want your coffee order. I don't need to know,
your whole
emotion,
backstory.
your
Right.
backstory,
Right.
just your coffee
And
order.
so, and Joe's going to sell you the mattress or whatever.
Right.
It's like,
he was like, Joe,
I just
I'm
need
going
to
to look.
You're right. He's like, do you know what you want? Yeah, look, I will come and get you when I'm ready.
Oh,
he's ready.
my God.
He's like,
I still get chills.
Yeah. Well,
from
that's
that
it.
day.
And so that is powerful communication. But it's not power over. It's not meant to intimidate. It's not done.
Right. And he didn't have to walk around with us while we were indecisive.
No.
She looked and she said, okay,
but she
Joe
clearly gave direction on what she wanted. And so one of the things I thought, this is such a great place to start with.
And that's to do it like men.
Yeah, that's with your power. Oh, that's also do it like women who are dominatrixes, right? Is that they tell their sub, here's what you're going to do.
Their what?
Their sub, and the person that they are working with is called the sub. And I know these things now. I wish people could see my face. I should video my face. I'm listening to it on tape, and my face is like, really? So
they can see your face now.
Yeah, that face. I'm like, really?
Power. Okay, so I challenge you to get rid of wrap up.
Say,
I know you got to get back.
But to say, here's what I want to have happen.
Yeah.
Here's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, if the person says, no, I can't make that happen that way, then we negotiate. And I think this is the second part of where we resist.
Right.
And where we sabotage is if we say, I want a Peloton, and it's like my bank account says no. But say, okay, well, what's the negotiation, right?
Right.
So let's say Joe says, well, I have to be with you the whole time. I can't leave a customer unaccompanied in the store, right? Then you have the option to say, you know what? This is not a shopping environment that I want to be in.
Right.
And you can leave. Or you can say, all right, Joe, but I need you to stand back over there. You can see me, right? That shouldn't happen, right? If that happens, leave the store.
Right.
But it's like there could be a legitimate negotiation that goes. It's I need this, and the server may be, I've got to go take care of this table, and then I will get you a coffee, and you're like, fine, because it's not like you'd be like, get me my coffee right now. That's not. There's
a line.
That's not. That's not.
There's a line in between.
Right.
Power.
And then abuse of power. Right. So you can abuse your power. Right. And I think so many of us are afraid of abusing power because we see power abused every day. Right. We see power abused in our government. We see power abused. We've seen it abused in our extended families. We've seen it abused when the
cause for resistance.
Think about everybody's got a bad teacher story. That was on Twitter. Talk about a bad teacher. That's abuse of power. If a teacher made you feel less than, we experience abuse of power as soon as even if we have a perfect family.
As soon as we're socialized.
As soon as we're socialized,
we see that abuse of power, and there is our clock. Guys,
Yep.
I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation today, and I wanted to ask just lastly, because we talked a lot about the resistance, but why does it become sabotage? You want to do that in part 2?
Yeah, we'll do that in part 2.
How to recognize the fact that you sabotage the thing.
Exactly. And that it is you and not external circumstances. So
to bring it back.
Exactly.
To bring it back.
Exactly.
Because that again gives you your power when you realize, because the external circumstances you really don't have power over.
Right. A
It's like
tornado.
when you have
right,
it.
Right. A
yeah.
tornado may hit and it destroys your building. Right.
Right.
That's not.
No control.
That's right. That's something bad happened.
But I always
that's not
worry,
sabotage.
never living or doing anything because a tornado could possibly hit.
Well, and
is where we get in the resistance.
And also not having a plan of what would happen.
What will happen
if there was a natural disaster, right? So that's
sabotage.
So that could be sabotage. But anyway, but but we'll talk about that next time.
And not watching this episode, not sharing this, not liking. Look, not hitting the share button. That's why you resistant hitting the share button. Thanks to those of you that have. Thanks to those of you that had comments. And again, we decided to get together on the weekends for a Sunday matinee because I want to see Angela. She wants to see me.
Yes.
We want to hang out on beautiful days like today, and see how that bright light is. But also when we hit the stop button, it will become a podcast. So the audio will get detached and it'll go down all of your channels. If you want to choose a channel, all you have to do to go is to AskLeadingWomen.com. It's on your screen. AskLeadingWomen.com. You're going to go like, whoa, look at the episodes that we've had and we've talked about. Going back almost a year. We do invite you. We are putting together a wonderful weekend. And of course, if you need to do it on your screen, you'll get a chance to do that. But if you can get to Atlanta, or if you're around Atlanta, you want to come and plan to join us March the 13th through the 15th. We have got a brunch with Joyce Littell, radio media veteran. We have got a conversation we've been asked to navigate. To navigate is this job shaming.
Yes.
Job shaming and between entrepreneurs and those who live dual lives and so forth. All right, so we got to get running and get back into our lives. We don't want to sabotage the time that family has allowed us to come and hang out with you guys. So thank you so much. Use the hashtag AskLeadingWomen. Anything WiseHer still going on?
Yep, still find me at wiseher.com. Look for Angela Stalcup. You can see the details there.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend and a week and an MLK Day and all of that. Bye.